If you're thinking about changing your practice management software, then this one is for you. Coming up next on DE's Business Lab. Well, so obviously the COVID shutdown was not great. Here in New York, we were closed for almost 3 months. And so my desk at home here, where I'm working right now, was covered in Post-it notes with patients calling and the best number to reach them back and what their complaints were, to try to organize a schedule to go back in and see them. You see, I was on a server-based practice management software, had no access to patient data from home. And that is one of course, the complications with that, is trying to remote log in or whatever. So we finally get back to work in mid-June, where we're in the office seeing patients in some relatively normal situation. And believe it or not, our server starts to clunk out on us. Well, that was the last straw. My business partner and I had been thinking about changing practice management softwares for a little while, and this was just like, these were the last nails in the coffin. So we ended up going with Curve. So I sat down with Jana Macon, who is their Executive Vice President for Customer Success, and learned a little bit more about what some other people's experiences were. If they were on Curve during the shutdown and during these strange times, well, they were a step ahead, as it turns out. I'm still playing catch up myself. Let's learn a bit from Jana here. So Jana, now that we've come back from a COVID shutdown, and now that we're still living in the midst of this interesting time in practicing dentistry, have you seen from your user base any creative ways they were using your software? Were there any features of your cloud-based platform that really were exciting for your users to use during these strange times?
These are some strange times. So yes, I would say that the Curve users had really sort of had an advantage coming out of COVID. We spent a lot of time during the shutdown really working together to document even more than they were before, something that we were calling low touch, no touch workflows. So these were things that your more progressive offices, people that were really striving to be paperless and be really modern and cutting edge pre-COVID, were sort of already doing. And then there were other people who were sort of doing things the way they always did. And COVID really caused us all to stop and pause and ask, how can we do this better, particularly to limit the contact, right? And so what we did is document these low touch, no touch processes. So things like, obviously everyone started to think about how are we going to deal with the waiting room? And so, the parking lot waiting room. And because we have, our digital forms and our paperless process to fill those forms out, they automatically go into the system. And so that the practices began to really communicate with their offices and let them know to fill forms out ahead of time and park in the parking lot. And they can get a message right, 2 hours before the appointment to let them know that these are our COVID protocols. Please make sure you remember and bring your mask, and, all of the different things that have kind of come along with this new way of working. I would say for the patient, it was kind of that really proactive remote communication, the way that they would progress through the practice. I think for the providers, sort of a similar kind of thing where they're able to use the forms in the office and things like that without passing paper, and also for the front desk. And of course, you have the electronic billing that can happen after, meaning that they can send the invoice through the portal. No one has to even exchange a credit card at the desk if you don't want to do that. So we just took every little thing that we knew could happen without someone having to initiate contact, and kind of work them into this end-to-end no-touch, low-touch workflow. And that's really been successful for so many of our practices. And they really have given us a lot of great feedback, about how easy it was for them to open their doors even quicker because those were in place.
Yeah, I thought I had a paperless office because 10 years ago when I built my practice, we used, we were virtual, we were chartless, but chartless isn't paperless. And we still had new patient intake forms and billing paperwork and all this kinds of stuff. But since switching to Curve, it's been interesting to see how much paper I was unnecessarily still holding on to. And it makes for nicer workflows, but also, of course, it's great from during these strange times when we have these weird ballets of moving patients from their cars to the reception area and filling out forms and taking payments, that this can be done more easily and more efficiently, but also more safely during these times, right?
Yes, absolutely. I think that the thing that maybe has surprised everyone the most is there was maybe a hesitancy that patients would not be receptive to these kinds of ideas. And I think that's probably one of the things that slowed the industry down in general. But now I think everyone knows there was a reason to not, put up a resistance to it. And so now it's become sort of the way we do it, which is, while it's a terrible thing to live through, kind of maybe some good outcomes.
Yeah, pandemics, these strange crises can help us. It can help accelerate the evolution of technologies and how we
Yeah,
think about things, because we just
yeah,
don't have any
absolutely.
choice but to figure stuff out under pressure, right?
Exactly.
So I'm
Exactly.
curious, Jenna. You know, when I look to switch a vendor for my impression material or a composite or something. I mean, those are important decisions. It often involves patient care, but then there's some decisions we make that are far more personal, and I would say practice management software is certainly one of them. It's like changing religions. I mean, it's a big deal to change how you do a thing, right? So and every day how we bill, how we intake information. So can you tell me a little bit about how you guys look to not just have a transactional relationship with your clients, and how you form more of a partnership with them?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that the most important thing for us and our ethos in general at Curve is that we really strive to be a business partner and not just a software vendor. A software vendor delivers software, they pick up the phone maybe when you call them, right? But a partner is really someone who cares about what you need all the time. And what it really comes down to for us is investment and focus. And what we want to do is what's best for the providers. And so those are the questions that we're always asking ourselves. So part of that is really developing and supporting this single platform idea, so that our providers don't have to have 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 software vendors to run, the lion's share of their business. So that's really important to us. So things like, obviously you would expect your scheduling, your charting, your billing, but patient engagement, something that we just put a brand new platform in and it's beginning just to expand rapidly. That's something that's very important for us. Your e-claims, all of the things, eligibility, you name it, it should really just be in one place. And that simplifies it for you, but also makes it much more economical and efficient for everything that you do in your office. So that single platform idea is really important. Obviously, for us too, that accessibility, and that's the essence of the cloud, which we talk about all the time. But really the short story there is, and I think you found out during the shutdown, we talked about that a lot, is this being able to get to your data immediately from your house, to not have to deal with servers and backups and releases of software and all those things. That just becomes inherent. And that's another area of investment, another area of focus, where you have to, sort of focus on those things and be intentional about it to push it forward and keep it at the top level. Again, what's best for the providers, really, I think really important. And then service, for us, again, that's another point of investment, is that we believe when you call our support desk, someone should pick the phone up. Typically someone's picking that phone up within a minute. We're solving your problem within 8 minutes. That's something that we keep our eye on and we continue to invest in, so that our ratio of customer service to providers is reasonable, so that we can keep that kind of performance, that kind of service in place. So for us, the partnership is just about asking ourselves, what is best for our providers? Are we doing that? So when important decision comes up, that's one of the questions we're asking ourselves.
So, as you mentioned, yes, you're cloud-based. That's become a bit of a buzzword in the industry, right? So it's a very hot thing to say you're cloud-based.
Right.
Can you tell me a bit about, like many buzzwords, is it overused? Are there people, without making any disparaging comments, of course,
Sure. Yeah.
are you cloud with a capital C, and are there some softwares that are cloud with scare quotes, like
Right.
technically limp in to sort of qualify for that definition, but not really?
Right, right. No, the answer to that is yes. I would say that, the truth is Curve is the first product that really was built for the cloud, in the market as a cloud. We have the most customers that are in the cloud, truly, completely in the cloud. Nothing non-square, nothing scare quote about it, right? And really there's a few litmus tests that if someone's thinking, oh, am I really in the cloud? Or if they're looking for cloud software, you know, just a handful of things they need to think about. Do I only need a browser, or do I need to install things on my computer here in my office? Well, that's kind of a telltale sign. If I just need a browser, then I'm completely cloud-based. That's important. Do I need a server? Well, if you need a server, then that means all of your computing and your storage and all of those things are really not happening in the cloud. So that's another important question to ask yourself. Can I get my data? Now, there are some cloud vendors that are kind of hold your data hostage a little bit. And fundamentally, as a leadership team who's been in cloud since cloud was a thing, over 20 years at this point, we just fundamentally believe it's your data. You own that data, and we are hosting it for you, and you should be able to get it at will. And that's very important. So we literally have a button that we named Get My Data for that reason, because you should be able to get it. And then for us, again, it's back to the service. If the whole cloud idea came about long before there were cloud softwares. People were thinking about this idea of software as a service. You hear people call that SaaS, and then kind of true cloud came after that. But software as a service, a lot of them have lost that last S. They have lost their service. And for us, we just believe that is a fundamental tenet of the cloud that has to be there. So again, back to that, partner versus vendor type of relationship, it's really critical to us to keep that strong.
So, as I said, and I do often joke, changing practice management software is like changing religion. It's a big decision to make. Converting the data can, with some transitions, can be a challenge, and with others, it can be actually a pretty seamless experience. And that was certainly my experience in transitioning to Curve. I'm curious what, from your perspective, you would say to anyone out there, comparing Curve to cloud and to traditional server-based practice management software. What is the difference? What are some of the unique features that you're thrilled to be able to say that Curve offers?
Well, I think all the things that we've been talking about, and to me, more than any one feature in a software, the service and the investment and the fact that you have a business partner, that's within that practice management system, that really should be critical. What you talk about, I think that as I talk to more and more providers every week, I learn more and more that people are most scared about changing that religion. They're most scared about the process. What is it going to take? What is going to happen to me when I do that? And look, I've always said for years that implementation and easy should never be in the same sentence. But I'll say this at the same time, I'll say that we've done thousands and thousands and thousands of these. I mean, it's almost like Mount Everest. Like, we're a Sherpa. We've been up this mountain a lot of times, and we can get you up that mountain. And so we're proud of that part of our service and how we partner from the very beginning with you in the training. You've experienced that. The training will be ongoing. So that's a big thing to me. And then I think too is really that we, again, want to serve our providers the very best way that we can, because we know for you as a provider that you need to be able to serve your patients. You want to provide the best patient care. But I think to your staff, your employees, it's important to any provider for their employees to be happy, for their team to feel like that, that this works for them too, right? So we're going to make the change together and it works for us too. So I think that you won't find a better team to work with. You won't find a more experienced team from conversions and getting you through that initial process, but also that ongoing investment. So our newest feature that I would say I'm so excited about is our patient engagement platform. We'll be rolling out more and more information about that very, very soon. But we are aiming to not only do everything you would expect from texting and emails and letting you create these very creative campaigns that communicate with your patients, you know, 3-touch, 4-touch protocol before an appointment maybe. Also creating tasks for your team so you can put workflow into this campaign builder, and it is really, really a sophisticated foundation, and we have so many features rolling out really quick on the backside of this first release. We really think that it's going to revolutionize some of what people expect from patient engagement. So keep your eyes open for that.
I'm excited, very excited to try it. I haven't told you this, but in my practice, my team has a nickname for Curve. We call it Clever Curve, because on a pretty regular basis, as we're continuing to learn like the new ways we can do a thing, we realize how much more efficient, or what, just a better way that it's able to do a thing. And we go, oh, that's clever. We like it. We just say it all the time now. So we're like, oh, clever curve, clever curve.
Clever curve, I like that.